All right, we are here. I'm with the Viva Frei, who, according to the chat, is not where he belongs.
Chat. First of all, I just got off a live interview with Steve Bannon in the War Room, and it was Steve hosting this time. So we couldn't get out of Montreal before 3 o'clock anyhow, and I got a live with RT at 1:15. So going to spread the word internationally, and then I'm going to go down and I'm going to talk to people on the street, unedited, unfiltered, in real time.
Awesome. And we have Nate. And are you going to get some protection, David? I understand there's supposed to be counter protesters, and you're not the tallest guy out there.
We'll see. The counter protesters, I'm curious. They say they want to have a peaceful counter protest, and yet they refer to everyone at the protest as terrorists. So it's it the Truman Show, guys? It is the Truman Show, where there was like the scene where the person's like, I was there. That's literally not what happened. What movie is that from? Where the media was lying and the person's like, I was there. That's not what happened at all. Anyone in the chat?
I'm not sure. Many, I guess. Oh, look, a fan of yours, Nate. Power to the people, brother.
Nate's going to be counter protesting the convoy on Saturday in Ottawa, right, Nate?
That's right. I'll be up there counter protesting, unfortunately.
And we have Alita with internet spottiness. She'll be here anytime. Nick is Nick, and everybody will come in as they go. So help me find out what is going on. Catch us up, David. I'll just put on you because you're the convoy master who's in the wrong place.
Yeah, just got to get
convoy.
Totally centered. Okay, it's. Where do you start? I've never seen the media lie to people in real time as badly and as egregiously as now. January 6th, them calling it an insurrection, a threat to democracy, another 9/11, that's sort of like a hyperbolic interpretation of an actual act of riotous violence. This protest, from what you're seeing on Twitter, you would be thinking there were Nazi flags everywhere, there were Confederate flags everywhere. I swear to you, first of all, it's as multicultural. It's more multicultural than any high school I've been to. It is loving, peaceful. People are shoveling the sidewalk. They're picking up garbage and putting it in garbage bags, which are tied to the fence on Parliament every 20 feet. I've never seen it before this badly. The media and the liberal politicians lying through their freaking teeth. Then you've got these blue checkmark doctors saying that hospitals are being harassed and employees are being threatened. I mean, it's lies through and through. The protest convoy itself is not even near the nearest hospital. And then
I have to do this.
Yeah, go for it.
Under 3 minutes in the show.
Truckistan in and of itself is a yellow.
There it is. Yeah, we're automatically
yellow. The title. Obviously, they heard him say something. I probably did it with the word convoy.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think I should have said Yahtzee to do the YouTube thing. And I'm sorry, but I think Andrew's right. Legal Mindset, for anyone who doesn't know his real name. My video of the interview with the little kid on the street was demonetized algorithmically. And my interview with what did I put up yesterday?
Dr. Chris.
No. That one was taken down from my second channel. The interview with the GoFundMe update automatically demonetized up to 20,000 views, and it's remonetized today. So the convoy itself, they want to stifle propagation of information.
Mm-hmm.
Shocking.
Gentlemen, what's up with you guys?
No, it's propagation of accurate information, because they want to be able to put out whatever their narrative is on this, which is so funny though, just to add on to this, because, I remember in the beginning, they were trying to do the whole spin of, oh yeah, this is a highway conditions protest, right? This is about highway conditions. It's like, just like exactly, the planes aren't flying today. It's because of it's weather in Florida. Oh my gosh, it's raining, and that causes the planes a lot. It's like, come on, guys, come on. That's losing all credibility.
I forgot about that one. Legal Mindset. That was amazing. Yeah, who put up the picture of the, what is it called, the map when you are the meteorological map?
Yes,
clear skies everywhere. Yeah, weather. It's weather caused by absence of pilots or pilots on strike. Yeah.
And that's what people are waking up to.
This is yes. Well, you know what I think it is? I think it's just all politics. Because Viva could be talking about a Black Lives Matter rally. Yeah, Viva could be talking about a Black Lives Matter rally, right? The way the right covers Black Lives Matter rallies sometimes, right? These are horrible. This is, and you'll be there. You're like, none of this stuff is going on. The same way that the left covers the insurrection, the quote unquote insurrection, right? It's all political, and the mainstream media we know is left leaning, so they're going to cover this in the worst possible way, and then the right is going to,
in fairness, hold on. In fairness, you did have with the BLM a newscaster standing in front of a flaming inferno saying, mostly peaceful here.
Somewhat slightly fiery,
hold on.
Mostly...
just to be clear, so you guys are saying we can use one bad event and categorize the whole 98%.
Oh no.
There's
many of them.
Or are we being intellectually honest and saying the vast majority of them are peaceful? So I just want to make sure
the majority of the people
we can go with, though, if I can show one instance where it's bad on one side, then I can categorize the whole thing as bad on the other side, right?
But Nate,
we're not doing that.
Just be clear. Let's say it wasn't one. Okay, I know you're right.
All right.
You're right. Majority.
So maybe two. So maybe three. So tell me how many makes it bad. Yeah. Tell me how many makes it bad.
Well,
I'll give you an example on the other side.
Hold on, was Kenosha bad? Was Kenosha bad, Nate?
Let me, if I may interject.
Okay. The one in here in New York, there was some that were good. There were a lot of them that were good. Matter of fact. So
I'll interject. There are sliding scales of severity. So one Confederate flag among 10,000 is irrelevant. One burning building among 10,000 is not irrelevant, and it wasn't even one. I would say characterizing the people as violent, definitely wrong. Characterizing the protests, and I've been noticing that as well. That's that's been
happening on my live streams as well. It's really
Nate, on scale. First of all, one incident can be more severe that it can be itself serious enough. So one Confederate flag is different than one mildly burning building, but it wasn't also one in this protest. I assure you, in my experience, it was a big fat zero. The only flags I've seen were two images that those lying politicians retweet and promote as though you would have seen them everywhere. Nowhere, nothing.
No, I agree with you 2,000%. Both, but I think just to pretend
what about
like it's only
3,000? What would it take to get?
Yeah, I know. I have trouble above 100. Yeah. It's like for some reason the 100's where I stop.
To be honest, I'm not quite sure what exactly we're talking about.
That's great.
Because I just jumped in.
We're talking
perfect.
The Freedom Convoy. The Freedom Convoy 2022.
Yeah, we're talking about how.
And by the way, I don't know what you call them, Viva.
Each side characterizes it.
But also they have feds in Canada. Let's just be clear. I mean, we've seen the Patriot Front stuff. That's clearly, feds on parade in the United States. We clearly see that. And I'm sure you've got them up there in Canada. Now, maybe they don't have as much of a storied history as the FBI, but I'm just saying it's possible.
I could not attest to the history. I am not like the Barnes or the Grubert in terms of like that type of stuff. But incidentally, the only guy carrying the Confederate flag with a truck on it, a brand new flag, by the way, was the only guy with a bank robbery ski mask, full mask and sunglasses, not just a full mask and sunglasses. Weird. No one asked a question. And by the way, I know the guy personally who told him to get out of there with that flag. So the protest itself, for the one event that it was, told him to leave. He wasn't welcome. Mm-hmm. But anyways, it's apparently rumor on the street, and it's coming from Ezra Levant, Rebel News. Everybody here knows who he is. Apparently, the feds or the police have bought up all the remaining hotel rooms and said that the hotels can no longer rent out to people. And there was some other issue. And the police have said in a press conference this morning that they will not, that anybody giving water, food, logistical support of the police force to the protesters will be looked into and investigated for potential criminal activity. So
send them to Siberia.
You know what? You might have a little blue flu. I hope you have a blue flu now.
Yeah.
Because that would be great if the cops, I mean, you saw what happened with the tow truck drivers, right?
Yep.
They called in, they were like, hey, move these trucks. They're like, hey, everybody's got COVID. Don't know what to tell you.
But there was one though, there was an instance where they were already posting video. I think, Viva, I don't know if you saw this, of the trucks that were blockading the border. And there was a tow truck company that did come out I think it was like Citywide or something that came out and actually provided trucks to tow those. I don't know. If
was this in this should have been
Coots, right?
Coots in between Alberta and Manitoba. Apparently all of the tow truck companies that they called said no, but I don't know. Logistically, you're not moving hundreds of 18 wheelers. It's not happening fast if it's happening at all.
Oh, and then have you seen, I think you might have retweeted it, David. These people are saying, well, I think we should fine them and pull their license. And it's like, okay, so who's going to move the truck now?
It's people are not thinking straight. The police apparently have started going around giving tickets. Okay, fine. By the way, that I can understand.
What?
You're honking your horn, causing a racket. Give them a ticket. What's going to happen though, and this is what really makes me nervous, is they're going to then say, GoFundMe, you can't release those funds to allow them to pay the tickets. So it's like it's corruption through and through. It's the wonderful incestuous relationship between big government, big tech, and the media. Really just trying to bamboozle Canadians. So
yeah, but something just came out. I think 30% of the population, they were doing some polling, can relate to the trucker situation. That is not a fringe minority, my friend. That is not.
They've lost that narrative. They've lost that narrative
because everybody knows a trucker. It's like cancer. Why is cancer so well known? Because we're all affected by it. We all know somebody who had it, have had it ourselves, a family member, or whatever. So it's a trucker. We all know a trucker in one way or another. And you can sit there and say they're all fringe, but you're really like, well, maybe they are, but my cousin isn't, and his friends aren't. So,
and by the way,
it doesn't make sense.
It's Trudeau literally called it an anti-Semitic convoy, an anti-Semitic. And now I don't talk about religion or mine because it's generally speaking absolutely irrelevant to the positions I hold. I walked through and hugged everybody in that crowd, and I mean, and I don't like identifying people's by race or religion, but that's what they force you to do in order to respond.
Well, you can't.
To these...
Oprah says you can't.
Yeah, well,
I know Oprah. Whoopi,
Oprah. You know,
Whoopi's got bigger problems, right? Paychecks and problems.
So it's people are. It's not just they know truckers; it's that they know reasonable, sensible people who are saying you're being lied to, and here's the evidence. And I can just tell you, if my week was successful for only one reason, now it's up to 4 people in my immediate circle, personal circle. It's like I didn't realize how bad the media is, and thanks for the streaming because I had no idea. So I can only imagine there's more than that out there, because if it's 4 in my immediate circle, it's going to be exponentially more throughout the rest of the place.
That's how red pilling happens. A lot of people are red pilled by Rittenhouse when people actually watched the trial and they were saying, I didn't know any of this.
Yeah,
this is crazy. Well, and that's what you're doing out there. You're like going up to statues and saying, look at the snow here. Does it look yellow? Is it that, deadly yellow snow? It's white. I'll let Ethan play in it.
It's so fake. The worst part about it is that the news media has made that. Number one, they made it seem like there was nobody out there. Like without looking at Viva streams, I wouldn't have known anything about it. It's totally opposite of what you're hearing, and I think that's the worst thing. But isn't it your Canadian media company? Isn't that state funded?
CBC,
state controlled, right?
State controlled. CBC Radio Canada, $1 billion a year. Now the Steelman argument, they're funded by whichever government's in power because it's a federal law. Except one of the parties was talking about defunding the CBC. So who do you think they're going to be loyal to? But I'll tell you this. I'm not pulling any favors there. I asked the CBC reporter, not knowing what his answer was going to be, have you been harassed while being on the job here? And he said no. And then I asked at TVA, which is the French station, have you been harassed? He said, yeah, someone aired out our tires and someone, they were shouting at us when we were trying to do reporting. I don't know the answers to the questions, but even the CBC media slimeballs, that they had not been harassed while on the job, although one of his friends had a beer can thrown at him while he was reporting. So,
well, that's just a Tuesday in Canada. Come on, I mean, that's like a hockey match at best.
No joke, Alina. I was going to ask him. Canadians don't throw full beers, okay? We drink our beers. I guarantee it was not full. I mean, and an empty beer, it's still bad. But if that's the extent of it, the empty beer can at a reporter, I mean, compare that to what they want this to be.
It sounds like the Canadian version of what would happen in the United States. Like if there were any kind of like reports of harassment in the States, like it's the polite version,
Well, it's no joke. Like our January
someone yelled at me from down the street.
The Canadian January 6th
I'm just saying, I think if they try to pull this in the United States, I think that this would be painted as something much larger. I don't think they'd get away with this. I don't know what you guys think about this, but I think if they tried to pull up into DC with this many trucks, I think Biden would poop his pants.
There would also be agitators in there, Andrew.
Yes.
I mean, we have funded people who are professionals who would go in there and immediately start a couple fires and get some spray paint going.
That, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to play on any stereotypes. I think the police response in the U.S. might be a little bit more quickly escalated,
just a bit,
but
a little bit.
Oh, and I'm not trying to. I'm not saying that to.
And they call the National Guard in too.
Well, yeah, here they have the Ottawa police. They have. I mean, I saw the police. I asked the police the questions. I was like, "Have you seen anything bad?" And they all said no. It's been very respectful, and protesters are taking selfies with the cops. So hopefully that doesn't change. Nick.
Oh, look
hey, what's up, guys?
Speaking of people who throw beer cans at reporters,
you know, I don't know if this ever happens to you, but you know that thing where you wake up and then you're like, oh, this is a pleasant dream I'm having. Wait, oh my God, why am I dreaming? And then you wake up again. Yeah, that's what just happened to me. Sorry.
Oh, no.
Well, you were up pretty late with Barnes.
Yeah. We had a good time.
Is that that is new artwork? I haven't seen it in a while, Nick. That's new artwork of painted bottles behind you. How long have you had that for?
A while.
For a while.
Oh, I
that was a while.
I remember the cat one behind. Oh no, the cat one. Okay, that's still behind your shoulder. All right.
Yeah, the cat one is newer. Cat one's newer than the bottles.
No, I still want to steal that cat one.
No, cat one's
amazing.
I want it.
Cursed.
No, I desperately want it.
Can't have it.
Nate, what is
I need it.
Nick, what is unbreaded?
You guys.
Oh yeah,
unbreaded.
When you know, that's the answer. It's from the UCLA Manifesto. Are you familiar with the UCLA Manifesto?
I am not.
You're already demonetized. You might as well go in for.
I know, and thank you, Dragon's Treasure. By the way, get some tea. Don't let Alita sell the tea. Okay. It's a very important thing. The dragonstreasure.com. Use the unstructured code. Do not let her just steal all proceeds from poor me who's sitting here. I don't even have a law degree, guys. So I'm not rich like that.
You could also support me by using the coupon code LegalBytes instead.
That's fair, love, and more. Okay, unbreaded, Nick.
See,
breaded.
Here it is, right here. I got it. Drinking it right now. It's delicious. Anyhow.
Okay, so you have to understand who the prophet Matthew Harris is. Matthew Harris is a UCLA lecturer for a whopping 1 year. He's a postdoctoral lecturer in philosophy, and he sent a manifesto to UCLA the other day. He just decided to drop 800 pages of hot knowledge and spicy beats on
800 pages?
That's someone that has too much time.
800 pages.
Jesus, that makes Kaczynski look reasonable.
800 pages.
There's
that's longer than a Harry Potter book.
Oh yeah.
Dude.
Yeah. There's 443,000 words in it, and 10,386 of them are the N word.
Oh, good Lord. Did you
Yeah.
You checked? You
yep.
Control F.
He read
Control F.
Live.
Can someone do the what's the math of word to word ratio there?
Too many.
It sounds like about 48%. A higher proportion than the population, shall we say?
Okay, so someone in the chat says, to be fair, 100 pages were the N word, but were they in sentences or was it just like all
so
work and no play?
Depends on your definition of sentence.
There's 100 pages of calls for murder and bombing of Asians, and Jewish people and lawyers and Asian lawyers anyway.
Wait, specifically Asian lawyers, not like all lawyers, just
specifically.
Man, that's stepping into stereotypes.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. This
is a UCLA professor.
Yeah, former UCLA professor. He didn't
probably okay.
So somebody
for being fired or something is my guess.
Someone at UCLA emailed me. Oh no, his story is so much better when you really like dig into the manifesto and figure out what happened. He's a black guy professor, and he clearly was interested in a particular white woman, probably with blonde hair, and she was dating, not dating, sleeping with a Jewish guy. That is almost guaranteed the story, and he was really mad about it.
So where do Asian people come in? I mean, UCLA has
UCLA
are
Asian.
Asian
Been to
people,
UCLA?
Yeah,
like a lot of the student body is made up of in all the UC schools. That tends to be
Have you heard of the pandemic, LegalBytes?
The what?
Have you heard of Koreans on rooftops in the 90s?
What's the pandemic?
I mean, there's been a little history between, shall we say, certain subcultures in the United States. They don't always get along. Nate can confirm.
Eric, we intentionally do not publish the race of those people for very specific purposes.
Oh yeah, actually, there was a beautiful headline about that. I don't know if you remember. Remember that woman who was beat up really badly outside the hotel?
Which one?
In New York City?
The one that had the headline. The one that had the headline that said,
I know,
"Man beats Asian woman." Yeah. So it's really interesting because they managed to figure out there was race in one half of it, but apparently not. So it was a very fascinating headline that demonstrated exactly intentions.
Oh, Eric, but more interesting than that, who knows the doctor on Twitter that said that the demographics of the Asian hate crime were themselves the symptom of white supremacy. It was a tweet that rationalized it. I don't want to name the wrong doctor. I just remember it was a doctor. It's like, okay, I'm not going to you if I need a doctor, because maybe you're a good doctor, but you lack other reasoning skills.
And that's one of the reasons that get me so frustrated with the stupid spin of the media, because like all of those things that were happening were all, I'm going to say it, black people beating up Asian people. And then they hear the news media say, these are Trump supporters. It's like, what the hell? Like, these aren't Trump supporters. This is a guy that just got out of prison for 2 murders, and they, based on bail reform, they let him back on the street, and now he's out there beating up people. It's like,
that's a Trump policy, so therefore it's Trump's fault. Therefore he's a Trump supporter.
And they're not fooling anybody. They're not fooling anybody, because anytime I talk to anybody about it,
fooled.
No, in America, but over here in Korea, they know what's going on. And when I talk to my Chinese friends or Japanese friends, they all know exactly what the statistics are and exactly what's going down. Yeah. But that information is not getting percolated out. They know exactly who's doing it.
Well, when that information got percolated out to this individual, the rationale was that it's the history of white supremacy and oppression that causes the minority to lash out against another minority, and therefore it's attributable to the patriarchy, the white patriarchy.
That was the argument. Climate change. They'll get it to climate change too, David. I swear to God, they've gotten it to climate change as well. That it oppresses the different cultures in sub-Saharan Africa, which causes a wave. I guess it's the butterfly effect of violence across
that climate change has racial disparities or something like that.
Yes.
I saw something like that in the How to Be an Anti-Racist.
They talked about this at Davos. I mean, this is something they go and they repeat at the highest echelons. So this is something that they're trying to make a thing. It's like fetch. They're trying to make it happen, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have a fan. Bye-bye, David. Have a nice day.
Sorry, I appreciate the support, David, but we could be more polite about it.
That guy is very breaded.
He is apparently.
It'll be up this afternoon. But by the way, everything has a racial disparity, except the actual policies that the Democrat and liberal government have implemented for the COVID response. Everything everybody does disparately impacts minorities, but when they do it, and when they lock down schools, which has a disparate impact on minority children, when they impose the vaccine passport, which has a disparate impact on minorities, they should shut up and they should know better. But everything else is, they blame on others.
Yeah, and the fact that the most unvaccinated population is the minority population, right? When you look at all the statistics, so it's sad, because if this was about getting people vaccinated, instead of trying to make this political thing about all Trump people being horrible, anti-vaxxers, they should be out there promoting it to the people who, like you're saying, are in those service jobs, are going to need the vaccine, or who if you're saying I want these people to be safe, why not promote it to them? Why lie and pretend that it's not these people who are in those service jobs? It just doesn't.
Or even better yet, why not paint it as what it is? Disparate impact that's causing people to be discriminated against. Why not call it Jab Crow, right? Because essentially, this is keeping a certain segment of the population from accessing certain services. I mean, that's harkening back to a darker era.
I think we need to have a dramatic reading. I think LegalBytes had one yesterday, and we have some good material from the manifesto. I don't know.
This is very selected. Look, this is very selected. This does not even come close. Come close to the glory of the manifesto.
Oh my!
I don't see any racial slurs in this at all.
So I don't.
No, I wonder why. Why did Eric show this one on the screen?
What's the? I'm not familiar with the backstory. So what happened to this individual? He got arrested, and this is the manifesto that he published.
He got arrested because of this manifesto. So the crazy thing is, like, stopping for just a second and looking at it. This guy is Brandenburg. I mean, there is from what I've seen, I have not perused all 800 pages thoroughly
yet.
I've skimmed many of them. I have read many of them live with some censorship because there's no way.
Just can't.
But I do not see a threat. I do not see an actual articulable, imminent threat of violence in any of it. I mean, he's saying bomb the airports, bomb this, bomb that, but who, when, who's he communicating this to? Where does he get that threat to actually come across? Where is it reasonably conveyed that this is supposed to be imminent? How do we know that the people, I mean, he posted this. He didn't like post it to people. He just sent this thing to UCLA. He doesn't say go shoot everybody at UCLA tomorrow or anything like that. So I'm not sure. I mean, I know they arrested him, but I'm not sure that they've got a good case against him.
Well, dude, if they got the kid on let's melt some snowflakes. I mean, he said don't sign up to DoorDash people. Okay, that's what I took away. DoorDash should sue for defamation.
Yeah. But let's trying to be reasonable here. If let's say he sent in that manifesto and then something did happen, there was a school. The first thing we'd be like, oh, he sent this ad manifesto. Why didn't anybody do anything? So I think you're kind of in a rock and a hard place, right? Speaking to him versus, what's he going to do?
It's the problem. It's the problem with this type of law, right? Or this type of criminal law is where do you derive the threat? How do you get the charge in, and what the defense is? Because threats always sound like threats after someone's dead. But threats don't always sound like threats until something happens. So with freedom of speech, that's the balance.
Eric, refresh your screen and see if you're monetized now. Because I refresh and I saw a manscaping ad come up. And that's not one of those.
That's definitely a directed ad.
They're going to get those in no matter what.
They will still run ads, David.
Well, no, but typically they'll run like
even on my private videos.
But Manscaped, it's still restricted.
Okay, no, because it's I need one case where they are running ads on a demonetized video. Sorry, not demonetized.
Oh, I can show you that all the time.
No, because it's limited ads, so it's not technically.
Well, no. I can show you where my videos, where they're private videos that I upload for my family vacation and stuff. So we upload them, unlist them, just for us to watch, and they run ads, and the channel's not even monetized or anything. They run ads just like. Hold on. Matter of fact, every time I watch the video, I gotta watch an ad.
Well, so different framing.
Making all that money.
We need an example where they run ads on a channel that they have demonetized. And that is going to be the deceptive business practices and unjust enrichment.
Okay, I got you. My second channel is demonetized, and they run ads on all my videos, even the ones that are private.
They demonetized the channel, or you never monetized?
They changed the terms of service, David, and they flat out said we can run ads on any damn thing we want.
It's in the terms of service.
No, but that is where I don't care if that's the terms of service. And then they go to, like, say, a Steven Crowder, and they say you violated the stuff too many times. Your entire channel is off the partnership platform, demonetized. If they continue to run ads in circumstances like that, I would sue them. So that's what I need one example of.
Their rationale for saying we can do that is that for that's also paying for like the storage space and all that YouTube stuff, and then that's when they change the terms of service. That hey, just because you put if you're not part of the program doesn't mean we can't make money off of this. You're putting it up there, for that benefit. So
yeah, but I think that's slightly different than being in the program and being told that your content is too bad to be monetized. Not it's the content is the issue rather than just you're not part of the program. Because if they say you're not allowed to make money off of this because your content is the kind of content that we don't like, and then they're like, oh, but we'll make money off of it. That's
direct enrichment off of somebody's effort. I mean, because Crowder's a good example. He's got millions of subs. His video get hundreds and hundreds of thousands. As they say, okay, fine, we're going to run ads anyway. Then they're directly stealing. And
that would be the question: is you would create, if this situation exists, and if anybody knows anybody who can prove it, get it out there. It would be a question of there being a vested interest in YouTube to say, hey, you're demonetized, you're out of the partnership platform, partnership agreement because you're not good enough, or we don't like your content. So we push you out, then we run ads nonetheless, and we don't have to split it with you. That's where I think it would be unlawful. That would be my best guess.
Yeah, I think you have a case there too. That sounds good. I think you have a case there too.
The only thing I'm discussing internally going to Ottawa is whether or not I bring Winston. We can't bring Pudge. There's no question. Do I bring Winston? The dog's not housebroken. It seems to poop and pee everywhere.
Is Marion going to go with you, or?
Oh, the whole family's going.
Okay.
They need to see this. They need to see this. Now, they're not going to be with me during my Viva on the streets because that would just be too embarrassing for the kids and the wife. But no, we're going. They're going to see it, and they'll go skating, and I'm going to go. I'm going to go walk among the protesters.
Touchdown on paper, unbreaded.
Is that the dramatic reading there?
That's it.
What's the reference of unbreaded in all of it? Is it chicken? Like he doesn't.
So along with his manifesto, he decided to upload somewhere north of 200 videos in one day onto YouTube. And one of them is him just for about a minute and a half going, touchdown on paper, unbreaded, touchdown on paper, unbreaded, touchdown on paper, unbreaded. Just he keeps going through it and like building. It's like, this is the beat I'm trying to drop, is where he's going with it. And it gets more and more melodic. And by the end, I'm like, yeah, I'm with it, man. This is great.
Is that video still up? Because I think
it's on the archive. I'll send it to you. He'll also tell you why, as a white man, you should die.
But this, I mean, like I'm not just from what you're describing, Nick. It sounds like it's a neurological issue here. Not even.
It actually sounds like he may be legitimately.
No, this guy's certifiable.
Very racist of you.
No, it's a psychotic break is what it says in the chat. It's like,
I expected this from LegalBytes, but not from you, Viva.
Hey, excuse me.
So the archive link to his videos are in the private chat.
Oh, awesome.
But you can't just start playing them though. They're
I'm so sorry about this, but I got to tell you guys what just happened, right? So a couple of weeks ago, there was a fire in the Bronx. It killed like 3 people, right? First time in a long time that we've ever had a fire like that. Sorry for those people. So in those 2 weeks, the state or the city has just passed the new regulations, where now they have to go to everybody's apartment and on their stove, because that's what happened in that apartment. One of the kids turned the gas on, and that's how everybody died, the fire. So they're going to every apartment and putting now on the stove all these things with these things where the kids can't open them up. It's just thing. So the building now has to pay all this money for every single apartment in here to have that. And then now they came and posted a whole bunch of big notices on the back of my door. And they're like, yeah, the city just passed the law. So I'm like, my God, this is just, it's like, so if you guys have ever been in a place that they overregulate every single thing, like, listen, we can't eat without the regulation. We can't, like, everything is super regulated here. It's ridiculous. So I feel bad because the guy just left. He's like, yeah, we've made your house kid friendly. And I'm like, well, what about the people who don't have any kids? Well, it's too bad for them. We got to make it kid friendly too. It's like
the government
we made them Nick friendly.
It's for your safety, Nate. It's for your safety. And if you disagree, you are an extremist.
Wait a minute. How's
that new mayor working out for you?
Don't you have a lack of round doorknobs in some parts of Canada?
I'm looking at unwrapped. Why? What happens with unwrapped doorknobs?
I'd heard, and I'm not going to say for sure, but I thought
you got to sheathe your knob, Viva. You can't just go in there.
There are some places it's illegal for a business to have a round doorknob because it could be it's tough for certain people. They have to be levers or pushes or.
It's like for disability.
But I'll tell you one thing. What was the thing that I was
for my claw?
About? Ridiculous regulation. Oh goodness! There was Nate. I had a story that went along with that, but I forgot it now. I've lost my mind.
And Nick, it looks like the archive, you have to log in.
Yeah,
So
that's new.
Yeah,
that's new. I just created an account and logged in. I'm trying to find the unbreaded video.
Oh, it's good. It's going to be on YouTube. Just I'm gonna look for unbreaded.
Yeah.
Well, you might get a lot of my stuff.
And Nate, it's like you have a tragic incident, and then they come up with it goes from the exception to making the exception the rule, just as a knee-jerk. Oh, Lori Lightfoot, Chicago's mayor. This is a nanny state, Nate. And you got Lori Lightfoot tweeting out. She's tweeting out. Forget about the gun violence. Forget about all that. There's a heavy snowstorm. Drive safely, people. I mean, this is. Can you imagine the level of delusion where the government thinks that this is the level of micromanagement in citizens' life that they get to do while neglecting the actual big things? Nate, why was there, as far as I remember, was there a slowness or a delay in the response time because there were not enough firefighters because of COVID restrictions, or is that another story?
Oh, I think
no, but this they responded to well. So, okay. but we have had the COVID issue with people calling out sick. So, like I know for us the MTA, it's like the third of the force is out. So
Vancouver building code. I knew it was somewhere in.
I mean, that's British Columbia. There are a lot of weird stuff going on.
Well, that's California.
British Columbia.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case in California, just to make buildings more accessible to people with disabilities.
I'm going to look, but that's British Columbia, by the way, is the epicenter of.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here. Happy to be here for the party, man. I wouldn't want to miss it.
Dude, you got
what's up,
emojis in your name. Why do you
know?
So does Alita, actually.
Touchdown.
Yeah, we all have emojis.
Paper, unbreaded.
Yes. I like to have seasonal emojis.
Kurt has the emojis of peace.
Sorry.
Okay.
Well played, Kurt.
A good one, David. Great job, man on the street. Not a fan, but good. Hats off. Okay.
What the heck is
that was good. Those men on the
sure
street. Viva's the king of the man on the street.
That's
but
true.
I'm genuinely curious now. Brent Mack, and I say this with I'm not sensitive. What have I like? Is it my views? Is it the fact that I'm too hyper? Like, what is it? I'm curious.
The purple headphones.
There's probably one
your
thing
hair,
said that was wrong, and
these are
and that's all she wrote.
Well, then, I'm curious. I'm always open to constructive criticism and engaging, even with those who don't like me.
Well, I always like when people pay to criticize.
The panel. Do you guys think Whoopi's going to whoop my namesake? Because everybody calls me Whoopi, the male version of Whoopi.
I can't unsee that. I can't unsee that in my mind now.
That's what I call Whoopi. I'm like,
I'm not burned into my mind.
Oh, good.
Here we go.
We got it.
Oh, here it is.
Oh,
here it is.
Jesus. Okay, here we go.
So everybody can understand.
All right, quiet for the dramatics.
Touchdown. Paper? Unbreaded. Nope. Hold up. Touchdown. On paper? Unbreaded. Right. Touchdown. On paper? Unbreaded. Touchdown. Paper? Unbreaded.
Yeah.
Right. Touchdown. Paper? I never gave a shit. This was never to these. Touchdown. Paper? Unbreaded. Die!
Sorry. Sorry for the ear rape that followed. I forgot it would autoplay.
Move that one out quickly. Okay, that really looks like schizophrenia or something.
No, he's lying. That guy's normal. What are you talking about?
Oh my God. Woo.
Oh man.
That man is in need of inpatient therapy more than many I've seen.
That looks clear. Like that looks neurological. That looks like a psychotic break or schizophrenia. Am I missing something from the Whoopi Goldberg story? Is the extent of the shocking thing that she said that the Holocaust was not about race, it was about man's inhumanity to man?
Did she say it was about white on white crime? Is basically what she was saying. Is my understanding?
Yeah,
she was trying to make critical race theory trap. I mean, that literally is a critical race theory, and it goes back to some older generations. They're talking about because there's a hierarchy, as you know, of this one being oppressed. And this goes back a while. There were people in the Black community, Nate, you can correct me, but who said they did not like the Holocaust. They did not like it talked about because it took away from that oppression. The only racial oppression
because of who they are,
right? But
it takes away from other people.
That took away. It took away from their agenda, which was anything racial, because you've got a problem here. You've got cognitive dissonance going here. You're saying that everything bad is racist, is based on skin color, blah blah blah, and you say, well, what about the Holocaust? There was no skin color difference there, and that throws a wrench into some of this stuff.
I think that the fundamental flaw there is just a lack of understanding of the European concept of different races and ethnicities. Because if you look at German history from the many years leading up to that, Jews were considered not part of German society. They were considered like on the fringe.
Or any society.
They were. You could say the same thing about the Roma, for example.
Like they're for sure.
Same because they have their own communities. They're not really, intermingled with the rest of European society, even though they populate various portions of it. But and so because of that, they kind of have to figure out what to do on the outskirts. And the Jews in Europe figured out a way to have commerce and to have businesses so that they could survive and thrive and whatnot. And they actually did very well. And then
which, by the way, they had to.
That's why
they
conspiracy.
had to.
Yes, exactly.
Because
in order to survive.
It was illegal for godly people to handle money, and they wouldn't let Jews do anything else. So they literally pushed Jews into being money handlers, and they said, "Okay, this is what I'm allowed to do." They did that, and then they were hated for doing that. So I mean, there is a lot of
isn't it still technically illegal in Islam to charge interest?
Yeah, they still follow true to that requirement that was given up on by the Catholic Church when they decided it was a really good grift.
It's good grift. But there's also something else about Whoopi's comments I was just thinking about. It's like
other than the fact that she wasn't given the Gino Carano treatment.
Yeah, that for sure as well. But there's something about gentrification that's
she got 2 weeks to stop the spread of her racism.
Because like what is white and what is not white? Like the definition of white has in some sense been expanding, because if we go back in time and we remember a little bit of our history, we'll remember, for example, Italians weren't white.
No, white is fluid. Well, white is fluid like gender. Come on,
Irish isn't white.
Fluid.
Jewish wasn't white, and now we're gentrifying. The whites are gentrifying. We're taking over entire races at this point.
Yeah, Asians.
The Irish
Asians
are white.
Hold on.
The Jews are white. The Italians are white. Now the Asians are white. At this point, there'll be nothing left but whiteness. So this is one way to do it, I guess.
Well, the Italians are more disgusting than the Arabs and the Greeks, to be fair.
Yeah, but what is funny is Adam Carolla says that Italians are better looking Jews.
Adam Carolla, that's true. But you know what? The whole issue here, though, like I don't know. All right, my take is probably just going to be hated, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't really understand why she's. Yeah, that's why I'm here, right? I don't understand what she's saying. All right, there's a difference between race and ethnicity. And for instance, the Rwandan genocide in 1994, the Tutsis, is it the Tutsis?
Tutsis or something.
The Hutus. The Hutus believe that the Tutsis were an inferior race, and that's why they committed the genocide, right? But no one would say because the Hutu believed that they were a superior race to the Tutsis and killed them all and tried to kill them all. That was because of racism, right? These are two African tribes. There was obviously an ethnic cleansing there, even though the Hutu believed that they were a superior race, right? That was their mantra. They had planned this for years. So if you applied, the logic, my issue is not whether it's racism or not. It's just the logic is just not applied equally, because then if you apply that same logic to the Holocaust, then you still have, because there are black Jews, there are white Jews and black Jews. So it doesn't really seem like race. If you were Jewish, you were getting killed, right? So if in one instance, literally, it's not racism because they're too black, but then in another one, it is racism. It's just like, it just seems convenience in a sense, not just actual factual.
The Hutsis, I believe these are the Tutsis who had white blood in them, which is why they were particularly hated by the Hutus. So I mean, there was a strictly racial component there. But first of all, I in a sense sort of understand what she was getting at with the Holocaust, because although yes, the bulk of the victims were Jewish, Eastern Europeans, they went after blacks, they went after the handicapped, they went after gays, and so in a way it was
they first went after communists
and dissenters. My bottom line is this. I don't know if I'm getting callous or I'm getting insensitive. I didn't find what she said to be so shocking that it should warrant this response. And even if I did,
it's not about her. It's not about her. This is a response back. Remember, it's ABC who fired Roseanne Barr. Well, so ABC who fired Bill Maher. ABC fired Bill Maher. ABC has a history of firing people for doing this, and they're saying, look, if you're going to put this bullshit policy in place, then you got to fire her too. And they didn't. And that is the argument here. It is, by the way, ABC is Disney who fired Gina Carano. Exactly. We're talking literally black privilege. No offense, but she has it.
They may fire her yet. I mean, it's a 2-week suspension, but suspension sometimes turns into firing, and she's making noises like she's going to leave, like it's her decision. Right. So Eric, she's the one storming out. So
I think that's a contract thing. I think that's all. That's got to be something tied in with their contract. There's no way it's not.
Eric, I'm gonna correct, not correct, but I'm gonna disagree with you on one thing. I don't think it's black privilege. I think it's liberal privilege, and I don't. I've seen it now.
Oh, fair enough. You're right.
So that's what I would say. But that being said, I would take the position she does not deserve to get fired for this. Neither did Gina Carano. Neither did Roseanne Barr. And an eye for an eye makes the whole village blind. But
it makes us even.
I'm okay with ABC being blind.
Except you're not even going to get there. All you're going to do is you're going to fill her with someone who's going to know how to keep it in a little better. But
the problem is actually ABC doesn't end up blind. Viewers end up blind. Weird. So no, I agree with Viva. I think that this is probably the kind of situation where it's much better to have a sit down conversation where you get somebody who has an opposing viewpoint and have a conversation with her on TV to say, this is why I think that you're wrong. Because that way you have an opposing viewpoint that people can see that ABC doesn't necessarily condone what she said by continuing to hire her, and give her an opportunity to have a dialogue about it. And so for viewers to be trusted as at least mildly intelligent, right? That they don't need to be, hidden from bad ideas, to say that, to have somebody with an opposing viewpoint so that people can watch the conversation and say, okay.
Why would they do that? This is not Joe Rogan.
No, but I don't know what you're talking about. I am
too much logic.
I'm a proponent of leaving Whoopi Goldberg on because, first of all, as far as I'm concerned, this is by no means the most insanely idiotic thing she's ever said. Keep her on. It makes for good Twitter content. It makes for good entertainment, and it's good to know at the end of the day who your enemies are and what they're saying. So kicking her off, filling her spot, people. That sounded even worse than the first time. Filling her position on that show. By
the way, here's a quick note. Somebody pointed this out. They wanted her out. You'll notice that the rest of them did not. That they were like, ooh, let's get her to hang herself. Wait, what did you say again? And they deliberately put it up. And then the next day they were like, oh, so Whoopi's not here. Oh, hold on. This is somebody who is working in the bodyguard circles. And apparently on The View, they all go to their own green rooms. They do not like each other.
That I believe.
None of them do.
I 100% see
that. There doesn't seem to be any chemistry on that set from any episode I've seen.
Yeah, they're all happy to see that.
They are all hateful people. There is no way they can love each other. There's just no way about it. We would have one collective green room. It would be an orgy.
Oh yeah, it'd be great.
Whoa! Hold on.
Come on, Andrew.
Hold on.
There would be a lot of alcohol in that green room.
Sorry, LegalBytes.
Let's not. How often when we come out that green room sober, we would all be totally fucked.
That's true. That's true.
By the way, the question.
I'll bring the soda. You bring the gefilte.
I guess I should move the windows around.
We have to appreciate. We have to appreciate the fact that a show called The View is suspending someone because she had the wrong view. This is crazy.
That is pretty funny. Because you can only have one view, not 5 or 6.
It is the view. Yeah. It is the view, not
the
view.
Singular view.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to duck out.
You're an orgy joke. Come on, out of here.
Look at this guy.
After having sullied the chat, question to Cynthia's question: how do people support the Ottawa protest at the present? I would not go to the GoFundMe page anymore. First of all, it's got $11 million in it. It's got enough there.
Give Send Go, I think, is doing it now too.
Give Send Go, I believe, is setting one up. And I would also, go I don't know, tweet around, because there are individuals who might need direct assistance and not necessarily the massive fund anymore. So people, with that said, I'm
great
gonna duck
work,
out.
Viva, on the coverage.
Good job, man. Good job.
Good job, man.
Great
it's not
on the
work.
coverage.
It's fun. It's fun, and it's that's
the best.
I just love it. Anyways, I love it. So the only issue I have to figure out a solution to the bladder problem. Someone said where depends, and I don't think they were joking, but I'm not doing
Gatorade
that.
Whatever you do, don't go near a statue.
Gatorade bottles.
All right.
I bet a trucker will let you use his cab. Don't worry. I mean,
The problem is I'm streaming while I'm doing it. So on the first day when I went for like
It's in multiple ways, right? Quite literally.
Well, I gave the camera to a stranger while he let me into a bathroom. It was don't cross streets. So people, I'll be live probably by 5:30, 6 o'clock. So if anybody's gonna check it out, I'll send the links. Everybody.
Mindset.
We need to do something, Viva. You
yeah,
and I.
he's
It's
so
been too long
juvenile,
since we
man.
streamed
I
together.
hate you.
You have my coordinates, Kurt.
Excellent.
People, I'm enjoy the weekend, everybody.
See you,
See you at
Viva.
the next
later.
orgy,
Yeah.
Viva.
Okay.
Why?
Just leave it there. Just go. Just go. It's better that way.
Just go.
Thank you.
We're yellow already.
Oh, I actually asked for a review. I'm like, how do I pull that? I need to remember.
Don't worry about it. What you need to do, Eric, you got to start doing shows that are in excess of 2 hours and save everything for that after 2 hour mark. You can get away with murder after 2 hours on YouTube.
Really?
It is beautiful.
Wow.
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know that.
After 2 hours, I tested it. You can see the stuff I'm
He's like, this is why I do long streams.
I tested it.
I found another trick to get around the demonetization that I will tell you off air. I inadvertently found it, but I'm definitely not going to say it here. But there's a bug. There's a bug.
Don't reveal it
in
to
the system.
Susan.
So
Have you guys
bug
been having
is-
a problem with well, I know Eric's been saying it's been quick, but for me, it's taken like almost. I had one video going down for almost a month without afterman review. They didn't review it for over a month. So I don't know if you guys been having those same problems. Yeah, like I put a video up to be reviewed, and it was like a month later. That's when, and then it came. It was still negative, but it was like a month.
They denied my strike appeal in 30 minutes, though.
They're good at that one.
Oh my God.
That was
dude,
real
that-
quick.
that's-
The strike
I had
They
a
did
whole
mine
channel
too. They did
done.
mine too, which it really still continues to piss me off. I'm gonna be pissed off about that for a long time.
But that's because they have an auto responder. I mean, it literally is an auto responder. Yeah, we've taken your details. Sorry, we're gonna stick with it. That's why it's always Team YouTube. It's the only way to get there.
Yep.
Well, I've been removing all my old COVID videos, the ones where I said anything got COVID, because I had a friend that just got suspended. First, he got suspended 7 days for a video he did like 6 months ago. Then he got suspended again for another video he did 3 months ago. And he's like, hold on, I just read what the fucking CDC said 3 months ago. And they're like, no,
Can't do
it's
that.
wrong. Now it's today, it's misinformation. It's like, so he's like, he had to start. He's like, yo,
He's like, but that's what the CDC told me to say.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones
Yeah.
that
That was the
page.
ultimate. That was good.
He literally read the CDC's page back then. I was like,
No,
oh,
That's,
man,
like, that's what he got
about-
the strike for?
That's
I was
basically
kidding.
Yeah.
that's what he got struck for reading the CDC page, and then I got a community guidelines page strike for reading DOJ and FBI documents because I'm reading the
bad.
charging for the Capitol riots. I'm reading the official charging documents. Here's the FBI's report, basically, of the probable cause finding. Here's the things they did. Here's the DOJ. Here's what they're charging, and apparently that winds up somehow being incitement or promotion of rioting. I'm not sure how covering these stories and mocking the ever living shit out of the people qualifies as promotion of
Because
rioting.
you said the magic words. You said the magic words January 6th. That's it.
Because you supported violence against the January 6th protesters.
But I did the opposite of those things.
No,
So-
you supported the violence against the protesters. That's what I'm saying.
I didn't support
The
that
violence
either.
of the government. The act of governmental aggression against
That's
the
the issue.
innocent
That's how,
protesters.
so we're saying YouTube is super, super based is what we're going with?
I don't think we're going with that. I think they're heavily
Definitely.
breaded. Heavily breaded.
Adam Krigler got a medical misinformation strike for reading the FDA's description of the eye drug that cannot be named. The
I believe
IVE
it.
drug.
This is
They're
just
like,
going
this medical
crazy right
misinformation. He's like, it's the FDA description of it.
It's
And
like,
they do it with a
reminds
straight
me-
face though, and they just do
Yeah,
it.
they do it with
It's
a
like
straight
no,
face.
this is that's
It's just it reminds me of Meet the Parents, where he's like he's dealing with his suitcase overhead, and he's like, it's not like I've got a bomb in there, And they're like, oh my God, you said bomb on an airplane. He's like, I said he's not like I have a bomb. And they're like, you said bomb on an airplane.
Yep.
Therefore, you're under arrest.
That will get you.
I had a friend get red listed for 10 years for the exact same joke.
I gotta pick up the bone with Joe. Where's
Joe? Do that.
Joe got me into all this trouble with the trans
we
community.
We were going into the agenda the other day on all this race stuff, the Jew stuff.
Andrew,
it was great.
No, he got me in trouble with with all these trans people because they were talking about.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna
because
have
his picture. Remember that picture he had of me on the picture he had of me being a woman because he was making fun of Biden.
Oh,
so now,
I love that.
Like they were saying that it was not only offensive that I was to put
that was cracking me up.
Ugly man in front of a with a trans wig on. I was like, an ugly man, like because now you're making. F you, Nick. Forget you, Nick. But yeah, they called me an ugly trans man, and that it was obviously that I was.
We'll
that
get
it
you
was
a glow up.
Oh God, you had nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I'm like an ugly trans man. What the hell? So yeah,
very unbreaded.
So then Joe, you see Joe fighting with the person.
Oh, Joe just fights with the fight.
Like, what are you fighting with the guy? Well, the woman. I'm like, this is crazy. So I'm an ugly.
This is why Matthew Harris does not like bikes. Not at all. Not at all.
What?
Yeah, no, he's coding it. Don't go there. Don't go there.
I don't understand the reference, but I'm not going to ask.
No, let's keep
Don't
going.
Put the picture out.
Plow through. 4,000 N-bombs later.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I cannot. I've been laughing at this stupid manifesto for
I noticed.
Great days. Oh my God. It's so funny.
I didn't think it was going to be that funny, honestly, Nick. I thought it was going to be like very not funny, like deeply not funny, because this guy clearly has a mental issue, but it's way funnier.
You guys keep being bigoted against mental health disparate people.
Did you say us, Kurt?
Yes, us.
Oh my.
Clearly we have issues.
Oh God, somebody wrote, give Owen his bike back.
Oh my God.
I have a feeling I know which Owen. Okay, too many inside jokes.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know this one.
God, Julie, I just saw this flash by earlier. Apparently, 2 of Epstein's victims are suing. Who is it? Julie K. Brown, the author, who broke open the whole Epstein case.
Really?
Where was it? Got a Miami Herald article. Julie K. Brown. 2 of his victims are suing her over book depictions. This literally happened this morning. So I got a bunch of lawyers here. I don't know what's going on. It might be something you want to check out, but it is kind of odd because she is the one whose book kind of got the ball rolling on the whole affair.
Well, speaking of things that instantly get you demonetized, using the word Epstein, that'll do it.
Well, thank you for saying that. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. At this point, we're already there. So,
touchdown. Epstein? Unbreaded
touchdown.
All we need is Jack Murphy, and
Epstein
it'll be
didn't make it into the manifesto, did it?
Interesting.
Because yeah, he did. He did.
I was like,
Related.
if Epstein didn't make it in the manifesto, it's really not that great. Epstein has to be in the manifesto.
Related to Epstein is the Avenatti trial, which is in jury deliberation.
Yes,
we need to do a dramatic reading of that.
We did yesterday. You missed
yesterday. It was great.
Oh, I missed it. Oh,
yeah. Because
I played Stormy Daniels.
That's right.
Yes.
Sorry about that.
I played Stormy Daniels. It was great.
But of course you did.
Stormy Daniels. I think there's a.
I can imagine Kurt as Stormy.
Yes.
There's a clip on the Clip channel that I think
They
maybe
swapped.
just dropped like an hour ago. It was scheduled. So
Nice.
it should be the clip of like the whole reading. It's
Nice.
fantastic. But there's an update today from like an hour ago if you guys want to know about it.
Sure.
Apparently there's been a jury note that one juror is refusing to deliberate or look at evidence. The other 11 jurors are asking for help. So apparently the government is asking for that juror to be removed, and of course Avenatti's asking for a mistrial. as a result. So the judge basically just brought the jury in and said, we have received your note. Your verdict must be based on the evidence. I ask you to continue deliberating. If anyone refuses to deliberate, you are free to send us another note. And then the jury left. And I think they're still trying to. Oh no. Then there's another one. The jury has sent out. Oh, maybe that's not the same. Okay, never mind. That's the same thing. It's not like another.
It's not up.
Am I wrong? Am I wrong with this? But you can't remove a juror because they don't want to deliberate the way you want them to deliberate, right? If they can go in there and sit down and say he's not guilty and just do like this, and there's nothing you can do at that point in time, right?
Is that kind of a nullification move?
That's the dream juror for the defense.
Oh my God!
Please be strong, brother. Stay on. Don't let them bully you.
The question though is, I don't know if it's clear if that person has made a decision or if they're just sitting there refusing to decide and refusing to talk and refusing to look at evidence.
Yeah.
Because that's different than somebody saying, no, I've made my decision and I don't want to talk about it.
Is it though?
Yeah, but that's still because
as long as they show up, isn't the only rule that they show up and be there?
The rule is that they be in the room, but they don't have to talk. They don't have to look at the evidence. They can, from what they've seen, they can just say we're done, and my decision is that.
Yeah, but
there's no
ultimately
requirement.
they have to make some kind of a decision, though, right?
But matter of fact, even in the law, I forgot what it is, FRE, whatever the FRE is, you can't even inquire about how they even came to the decision. So if they, they did anything, you won't, like, we're not supposed to know. So it's weird because they can't complain about how this juror wants to evaluate the evidence. If they made it to the deliberation, that's it. You're stuck with them. Unless you can say, like, I got paid by Avenatti or something like that, then you can get out. But
right.
Oh, apparently also Avenatti filed a motion seeking a mistrial because Ms. Daniels spoke to the media.
No, and that's not how that works.
Yeah. And the court denied it and said Ms. Daniels is not a party to the case and has a First Amendment right to speak, which is absolutely correct. Defendant provides zero basis to believe the jury is even aware of the interview.
A little
so Avenatti once again is this star litigator.
He could have been president.
There could have been president on the Democratic side.
According to Brian Stelter.
Yeah, no, for 5 minutes there he was. Yeah, but I was just saying there is one little quirk of the rules, just as a point of legal education. Under the federal rules of criminal procedure, if you strike a juror and you're wound up with 11, you can have an 11-member jury. So it's permissible and under the federal rules of civil criminal procedure. So just a little FYI. I didn't know if they had an alternate or not. But if for some reason this juror is stricken and you're wound up with 11-member jury, that is permissible under the federal rules of criminal procedure. You're welcome.
Point of law.
I value added here.
Point of law. White people have the symptoms of malnutrition. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein stole that idea from me. I'm the one who wanted to seed the world with my DNA. Santa has no culture. Are you strong enough to die?
I don't think lack of nutrition is my problem.
That's also in the federal registry. That wasn't in the rules. So this is a regulation.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So new gun control measures from Biden.
There's no member.
Oh, the cannon quote.
Wow.
Which, by the way, is not true. You can't buy a cannon.
Yeah, exactly.
Moron. Did you guys see that Ninth Circuit opinion where he basically concurred with himself? I covered it, and I'm going to post it soon. It's great, where he writes basically his own dissent.
Yes, that's amazing.
It's epic because he's just basically trolling the entire Ninth Circuit. It's wonderful. But yeah, they love that line from, I'm pretty sure it was Heller, where they basically said the same thing, that no amendment is absolute, which is true. But then all the courts say, well, it's not absolute, therefore basically every regulation is permissible. It's like, those are not the same thing. The First Amendment isn't absolute. Or
I want to see the third not be absolute.
Yeah. It's quartering.
I want to see the workaround for the third that we've got. How do we get around that one?
We just put a troop inside your house, Nick. That's how we get around that.
Well, he'll be reading a manifesto by the end of the day.
He just likes to watch, just like Jack. He just likes to watch. That's it.
Nice one. Very good.
You're welcome.
Plus 10 points to Gryffindor.
Slytherin, 100%.
Yeah, that's fair.
But aren't you know what, as a as a two-way advocate, though, I'm concerned about that Texas abortion law because now California and New York are taking those laws and saying we're going to apply that to the Second Amendment.
I said that first.
And if the Supreme Court is saying you did say that first, but now they're actually doing that now. So
that's right.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, because we saw it from a mile away. But I think Oklahoma also, I saw something I think last week that Oklahoma is trying to do something similar having to do with religious views in the classroom, that they're also deputizing parents to be able to sue teachers for presenting ideas in the classroom that oppose anyone's religious views, which is
good luck with that. How does that even work in principle?
That's void for Vegas.
Yeah.
It doesn't work in principle.
Yeah.
See, I still think
my religion is unbreaded now.
Yeah, I think the Texas law, if the Texas judges pare down the Texas law and basically create a standing requirement, then I think it's a way different thing than just about any of the other laws that they could come up with, because there are people with an interest in that baby who do not have a say in the abortion process. It's one of the most offensive and egregious aspects of abortion law, in my opinion. There are dads, grandparents, siblings who could all have an interest, aunts, uncles in that child. And those are the people who, if that law has the ability to survive, they'll basically pare it down and say, you have to have some cognizable standing argument to bring suit under this law. And then to me, that similarly neuters the copycat laws, because where else do you have that type of interest being created? For example, with guns, it doesn't play out the same. Sorry, go ahead.
But how do you get past the Planned Parenthood v. Casey? Well, was it Planned Parenthood? I think it was Planned Parenthood v. Casey. Because remember, the father in that case, and this is the question, the father in that case had sued, saying that about the notification, because the state law said fathers had to at least be notified that a woman was going to have an abortion, and the Supreme Court struck that down and said that no one else, in other words, no one else has that type of interest as long as she's pregnant. It was really just up to the woman. So it's like, by narrowing it, I think it may eviscerate it based on, unless they overturn Planned Parenthood v. Casey.
And hey, I got it crossed. I want to see the shit show that follows when Planned Parenthood goes down. And when there was questioning during that the Mississippi case, and they said, what if a case is just wrong?
Oh,
it's just wrong.
And the attorney just would not give it up. And she would not. It was amazing, because she's defending Plessy versus Planned Parenthood. Plessy's 1896, so they literally ask her, okay, it's 1897. Someone brings basically Plessy again. It's Plessy Part 2, Electric Boogaloo, 1897. All right, basically nothing has changed since 1896. It was last year, so nothing really has changed. Can the Supreme Court overrule Plessy just merely because it was wrong?
Yes.
And they said, and she says no. She says no.
Yep.
That they need some, that's
beautiful.
what she said.
All credibility lost.
She said no. They need some special justification. They need some special reason. They cannot overrule Plessy in 1897.
They needed
merely
the 50
because
years.
it was wrong.
They needed the 50 years between Plessy and Brown. That was her actual argument.
Yeah.
Remember the one that they did in the 80s for affirmative action? 2 years later, Thurgood Marshall wrote the majority opinion, and 2 years later, when the court flipped, they overturned it. They were like, "This is bullshit. We're going to overturn it." So it happens. It actually happens.
Or there was the one with the Pledge of Allegiance, where the Supreme Court ruled that students have to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then 4 years later said, "How about not so much?" So the Supreme Court does occasionally do that. And you would think that they should be able to do that if, somehow they decide, what, we really screwed up that one, so let's fix it.
I think an argument can be made for actually that there should be actually a preference for there having been less time transpired, because then you have fewer people relying on that law's existence.
One would think, right? Because that's a problem. Reliance interest is a factor to be considered. And how much reliance do you have on Plessy?
But either way, whether it's 2 or whether it's 200, if it's bad law, it's bad law, and you've got to change it. You got to change it. And I love this selective stare decisis. It's like, we like this one, so let's actually believe in this principle now, right? We'll forget it for other stuff, but for this, we like it.
Yeah, and that was the case of was that Kavanaugh. Kavanaugh just dropped case after case, and he's like, here are all these cases where we just decided stare decisis doesn't
Matt
matter.
versus Ohio and all kinds of great
stuff,
the Matt versus Ohio, great case. Baker versus Carr, fantastic case dealing with redistricting and that state level houses have to be based on population. Fantastic case, great history. Plessy,
and then he dropped in cases with he dropped in Lawrence v. Texas. He dropped in Obergefell.
Another good one, yeah.
Obergefell
is another good one.
Loving versus Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh, well, don't get me wrong. Loving versus Virginia is a big one. But I think let's just be clear. The abortion is going down in flames. It is probably going to take another 2 cycles for it to go down. The Mississippi law is going to be upheld, and they're going to push it back to 15 weeks, and eventually they're going to attack the thing. But I think the biggest issue is that the political narrative is going to be spun, and I think that's the problem that people have to worry about, because the political narrative is women's rights are going to be eviscerated, and not that it's not, it's just become a state level issue. They're going to be like, oh, this is just horrible, and this, and now no woman can get an abortion in America, which is not the truth.
Not going to be true.
But it's,
I also find
the court very political, though.
I'm not sure what it says about anything, but I found the international comparison at least informative, that in the rest of the world, the only countries that have abortion policies as open as ours are China and North Korea. The vast majority of the world doesn't have policies that are this open when it comes to abortion. So I don't.
That's funny. That's kind of like, that's sort of like border laws. It just makes me think of it. Like, everybody talks about how we're so terrible for people wanting to close the border, but in Australia, you go set foot in Australia, your ass will be put on a freaking island.
Set foot in Mexico.
If you set in Australia, you'll be on an island. No, I'm just giving you a hard time. Yeah.
Well, I know Nick says it's not
smaller,
actually a country.
Less important island.
It's not.
No. Okay. Yeah.
It's a continent.
Yeah. But I don't think U.S. law in any sense needs to be based on what's going on in the rest of the world, particularly if you have a anchor like the Second Amendment, right? The rest of the world has its gun laws, but then again, we have our Second Amendment, which enshrines a particular protection, which may or may not be unique, but who cares? We've explicitly protected it. Well, with abortion, when we're inventing it out of nowhere, and I'll just say the word that we all love, penumbra.
What I loved about Thomas's question to both government attorneys, he said, "Can you tell me where in the Constitution this right is derived from?"
It's liberty, Nick.
It's liberty. Like, you picked the one thing that isn't written in the Constitution. You picked
it's the word liberty in the 14th Amendment. When they wrote that in 1868, when they wrote liberty, what they meant, among other things, was abortion.
Yep,
that's definitely what that word was understood to mean when
100%
was abortion.
Thank you. Definitely, I didn't realize that.
Well, no, apparently that's the answer.
That's what it was. It definitely had nothing to do with slavery. It didn't have anything to do with that. There's not a.
It might have something to do with that as well. It had many purposes.
No,
didn't even RBG.
Hold on.
RG, whatever.
Well, if we're going down
RBG
that
say that it was bad.
Yeah,
bad
RBG
decision.
said. She said RBG. Even RBG said Roe was trash. So
that's. Well, hold on. If we're going down that route, then the judicial review, for instance. It's Fugazi made up,
I will fight you.
Oh my God.
I will fight you, and I will fight you.
Show me in the Constitution where it says the word judicial review.
I will fight. I've had this argument, and I'll have it again.
Round one.
I think it's right there in the text. I think you guys are blind.
Oh yeah,
and can't see it.
Everyone says right. It's right there in the text. That's why in Marbury versus Madison, a mandamus request to fire someone or to unfire someone, that the Supreme Court had to write a dissertation on why it's definitely in there. That's because it's so clearly written in Article 3.
I think it is. I think it ironically is. Maybe we'll have more debate on it. But yeah, Nick and you, we talked about this. I'll talk about it with Nate. I think it's Article 3. Yeah. I think it's there. So yeah, we apparently read Article 3 very differently.
Just so the chat knows what we're talking about. The fact that the court can
I represent the chat.
Oh, all right. Just So judicial review is the court being able to say this law is unconstitutional and therefore can't be enforced. That power wasn't
The
granted
court not
to the
being
court.
completely impotent.
Try and find
Yes.
anything even close to it in Article 3.
So what happens is, so that in Marbury versus Madison, they wanted, the court was like, well, how can we get out of this situation? And so it was a monster power grab. Everywhere you read, it's a monster power grab. And essentially, most scholars say that it made the court almost the most powerful branch of the government because they can decide not only what the law says, but what the law means and then what you can do. So that's judicial.
They can amend the Constitution without an amendment. That's what they can do.
One of
it's
these
amazing.
Yes.
And we've been letting them do it for the last 300 years. So I mean, at this point, to start complaining about it.
To be fair, that didn't really start. I mean, I don't know. I mean, really amending the Constitution in this way, like adding penumbra and whatnot. That really started with the Warren Court.
That was more recent.
The Supreme Court didn't really do that too much before then.
That's true.
Didn't Malcolm Gladwell do an episode on that, Nick?
Ghost of Lochner.
Revisionist history?
That was an issue.
I don't know if he did. He might have.
Or is it or your more perfect union?
On the penumbra?
No, I think on judicial review.
Oh, judicial review in general. Okay.
Yeah, is it me versus the entire panel, or does anyone else think that Marbury versus Madison was correctly decided?
No, I think it's correctly decided. I just don't think it's there in the Constitution. I think they made that shit up.
Yeah,
I agree that it's worked out for the best.
Well, look, it was very reasonable of them to say.
We decide what the Constitution says, and we take the power and tell you what the hell to do. Yes, correctly decided.
I'm clipping this. And I'm just going to do a monologue rant about how you're all wrong.
But isn't that what Marshall said? No, we got the power, and F you.
Yeah.
Cool. Just put a link back.
Mike Bruno in the chat says Nick is strict constitutionalist until it's a violation of women's privacy. Show me privacy in the Constitution, buddy.
Too.
Find it.
Yep.
Nick just argued against. You literally just argued against judicial review. How could he say that? He must not have been listening to that person.
Also privacy isn't the answer. It's liberty. They just told us that. Remember? Because Thomas asked, "Is it privacy? Is it autonomy? Is it?" And they said, "No, it's liberty." So you're saying privacy. That's not the new hotness. The new privacy is liberty.
It's been liberty the whole time.
You actually,
and I'm glad he brought it. Privacy is not in the Constitution at any point. It's not in the Bill of Rights, and everybody slings it around all the time, saying privacy is a constitutional right. So I'm glad they brought that up.
But it is a right, though. It's a right that was made up by the Supreme Court against it. You got the right to privacy.
By hybridizing the 4th and 9th Amendments, you get the right to privacy in various places. Great case line on it is Katz. Katz is where that really starts to develop in the 4th Amendment context. The great 9th Amendment context on it is Roe.
but let's be fair, though. Let's be fair. The right to privacy, I think, does have a little bit more constitutional support than the.
But it has more teeth. It's in more places.
If just to be clear, though.
Yeah, because the 4th implies that you have private things in private places. Yeah. I mean.
Right.
But you don't have a blanket right to privacy. Those were rooted in property rights, and that is the one of the things that Scalia was such a staunch defender of is the concept of property rights being so intertwined with the Constitution at the time it was written. And when we lose the perspective of property rights, we lose the basis of a lot of things the rights are going to. That's US v. Jones 2012. So there's a lot of US v. Joneses.
Brilliant decision of bringing back property interest. You don't? You hate it? Really?
I like
Jones.
I like the result of US v. Jones. I think that Scalia left the door open to government surveillance that isn't tied specifically to an infringement on property. And
I don't know if he did that. I mean, because I think he was just Well, I think at least for my money, he was
Somebody
just
want to tell
reviving
us what the decision is because we're going down a rabbit hole.
No problem.
Eric, get on this level. Get on this constitutional.
Look,
we've been forcing wants to know what's going on here. So,
okay, Jones was a case of. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Nick. You can.
No. You got it.
Okay, so Jones was a case involving a police officer who put a GPS tracking device on a person's car without a specific warrant.
Well, he had one. He was just 3 days late.
Okay, so the warrant was invalid, so he didn't have one. Anyways, so he put the GPS device guy on his car, and they were able to follow him around. So what the government argued was, well, this isn't really a problem because we could pay an officer to follow this guy, all the time, and we know his every movement. We could just view him from public places. There'd be no infringement on that. So this is effectively the same. And so the dominant legal thinking at the time, in fact, basically the sole legal thinking, was based on this reasonable expectation of privacy. That was what the Fourth Amendment had been rooted on for 40 years, reasonable expectation of privacy. So there's no real reasonable expectation of privacy because a police officer could see everything you did, so there's no reasonable expectation of privacy. So what Scalia did was he revived a completely separate theory of Fourth Amendment law. And at least for my money, he didn't abandon the old. He just revived something that had been forgotten, which is a property-based theory as well. It says, forget reasonable expectation of privacy. This is a physical trespass. They physically trespassed on your car, trespassed to Charles by attaching the GPS device. It was your car. They've trespassed upon the car illegally. It violated your property rights. So for my money, what Scalia wrote didn't abolish reasonable expectation of privacy, which I think is still the dominant thinking, but it gave a huge infusion to an entirely separate second track of Fourth Amendment thinking.
That's so my problem is not that he abolished reasonable expectation of privacy. My problem is that he acknowledged that the government doesn't give you any expectation of privacy on a public road, because the theory, as you articulated and he did, was that a police officer might see you at an intersection. Therefore, your actions are in public. But that is very short-sighted in the idea that the government may see you at an intersection, but if a police cruiser follows you on every public road and follows you for every single turn that you take through an entire day, you might have a harassment claim against the police. That might be a little bit of an exchange. And if it were someone other than the police doing that, if they literally followed every movement that you did, you would have a similar potential issue with.
I'm not sure. I mean, because private investigators do that all the time, and they're within the bounds. There's a difference between harassing and stalking on the one hand, and surveilling, which is legal. It's illegal to surveil. It's not legal to stalk.
Just wait till they got a drone on you 24/7 that's just hovering like at the max limit and just tracking you.
They don't need that, day. Andrew. You got a phone, don't you?
Yeah.
That was my big problem with Jones. Is by the time Jones was decided, they already didn't need the device on the car anymore.
Yep.
And so they can just go to the cell phone company. They can say, hey, we need metadata on tower pings, or we need the GPS info that the phone has, if they have access to it.
And it gets worse because they now have, I don't know if you know about the collections of like license plates everywhere where they have vehicles going around taking pictures. Cops aren't even bothering with court orders. They just pay a subscription like any PI and just pull the information. Go pay Google, though. You can get it there. Go pay such and such. It's cheaper. Don't have to actually get a court order or anything else. And that I find very disturbing.
This was my senior writing project in law school, was this exact topic, covering US v. Jones and the surveillance state, and how digital privacy was something that needs to be protected. But that was
we're going to need some new theory.
No, but one thing a lot of people don't realize is that sometimes, like I remember when I was at the DA's office, we sometimes would subpoena people's records and then find out it was like, oh, we don't really need that. But then it's like, my God, we've subpoenaed all their stuff. We already looked at all that stuff. And the person would absolutely never know that we sent a subpoena to Apple or Google or whatever and got all their records. So it is a problem. But but as long as you got FISA courts, though, how can you avoid it?
Well, there's a Supreme Court case up right now about FISA courts, as a matter of fact, that I need to cover on a future Supreme Court React, about whether or not basically defendants can get their stuff from a FISA warrant inside of in camera, even if it's just the judge. Can they get at least that far, just for the judge to be able to review the evidence? Yeah. And there's a case at the Supreme Court right now on it that's very, very interesting.
No, Kurt, stop it. The government is very good at representing both sides in the FISA court. That's why they have such a good track record.
You mean like 99.8% or whatever it is?
Go to page.
Yeah.
I love when the FISA court decided to start publishing its opinions, because they started getting published without the court's authorization. They were getting leaked. And so they're like, well, it is in the public interest to publish these because the public has now seen them.
Are they publishing on the routine now?
No, they they allowed, I think this is years ago, but they allowed a list of previous FISA court decisions that had been sufficiently aged to come out.
Nice.
And it was, I think it was as a result of the Snowden leaks specifically, because like, well, now that the country knows that there is this FISA court, it is suddenly in the public interest. So now
the court was never secret. It's just that their decisions are secret. So it's
somebody
your fault for not
explain to me
knowing
how
they
it's not a star chamber. I'm serious. Somebody
the only thing,
the answer kind of, which is unsatisfactory, is all the FISA court can do is allow a warrant to issue. They don't have the criminal case, right? So all they do is allow this warrant to issue to gather evidence, which then may be used against you in a future criminal proceeding. Which, then you'd have the ability to see the evidence if they use that evidence. Although, of course, if they derive things from it, and they just give you the thing they derived and don't tell you where it came from. So,
Yeah, the only thing is they can't put you in prison. That's the one thing.
That's the good news.
Yep.
What's the bad news?
The rest.
The handcuffs.
The bad news is that with 99.8% success rate, the NSA et al. Can get a warrant to surveil individual records, which would allow them for real-time monitoring, wiretaps, records obtainment, and basically just peering into your digital life in every possible orifices, ones you didn't even know existed.
Oh yeah, as soon as they say domestic terrorism, I mean the gloves are off. I mean that's pretty much it, And now everybody, I mean your parents, you're all domestic terrorists to them now.
The other saving grace of the FISA court is that even though this is cute. It's technically the foreign intelligence surveillance court.
This is true.
And so this is one of my favorite Snowden revelations, because so the way they used to calculate this was you had to be a certain number of steps removed from a foreign interest that was of concern, and it was 3 steps.
3 steps is a lot of people.
What it means is if I'm Facebook friends with Kurt, and Kurt is Facebook friends with some guy that he meets at like for example, like a Somali gentleman at a World Without Genocide event who happens to be friends with someone who's involved with the separatist faction in Somalia. Now I can be surveilled by the government. And the 3-step rule gave access to, it was 97% of people in the United States, anyone with an internet connection. They've reasonably moved that back to 2 steps now, and it only covers about 60 to 65% of Americans.
65%. Okay.
Yep, just to 65. So it's good now. You wouldn't want to sweep up otherwise lawful communications.
Well, and if they don't have that, Nick, they'll just use Five Eyes and just go to one of the partner countries and surveil us from the outside. Say, hey, MI6, can you help us out?
Yep.
The Australians are particularly good at that. That's the go-to I hear. Yeah,
but they're not a country.
They're part of the Five Eyes.
4 of them are koalas.
There is occasionally, I mean, it's not always bad, but have you guys ever checked out Hunting Warhead?
No,
I don't even know what that is.
What is that?
It was a series about predators, shall we say, and it was an operation with Australia, Germany, here in the States, and it was a serious takedown. I can't say what it was, obviously, because of YouTube rules, but they managed to do an arrest series internationally simultaneously.
That's happened very recently, didn't it?
It did. It within the past few years. Yeah. And I mean, and these were really, 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 really bad people. I mean, it was like, like they threw a Faraday cage over the computer, tackling the people. And it was a simultaneous operation, which is pretty remarkable. So, Australia, Germany, United States, simultaneous takedown. And these people were the worst of the worst of the worst. They really needed to go down. I have zero sympathy there, but
I feel like something like that just happened like very recently, like in the last week or two. Something very similar to that happened with simultaneous takedowns of related content. So, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evil out there in the world, and the question, as always, is how do we protect how do we deal with these multifaceted problems? We want to catch the bad guys and protect people's individual liberty at the same time.
And the problem is now is you have completely, people being painted as the worst of the worst of the worst. And really, are they? That's the question we now have to question and validate. Are they actually the people we're saying that they are?
Oh, I agree. But in this case, they were.
No, I understand that.
Yeah.
But the problem is that one real case doesn't justify 100 other bullshit cases.
Yeah.
They'll ram it through for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they try to claim January 6 people are, the same as Osama bin Laden,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, which is horribly ridiculous. Yeah.
The one thing to remember about all this is, and this is the truth. I mean, tyranny produces sometimes very good and very effective and efficient results. And one thing everybody needs to understand is that the more liberty-minded you are, the more at risk for crime, the more at risk for terrorism you are, the more those are the trade-offs. And you do not have security when you have liberty, except security that you derive for yourself and for your own community. And that's something that becomes your social responsibility. If you take away the government's police power and say, we're going to take that back, that's ours, you borrowed it, and we think you went too far, then you have to step up in that police power, or you have to deal with the consequences of not having it. And that's the trade-off you have to be okay with. I
think sometimes there's a trade-off, but I think you might have implied that there's always a trade-off. And I don't think that's true. I don't think security and liberty are always at odds, and you can increase both in some situations, but there are times when they conflict. I'll agree with that.
I think in terms of he's talking like a bell curve. You're always, if you go on the curve for authoritarianism, you're always going to have a higher maximum level of security. You're going to be able to lock everybody down. You're not going to have that same level. You're always going to have that apple that you're not going to be able to get in a free society. And by the way, Nick, one thing you pointed out, which I thought was really great the other day, I saw a tweet from you, which is that North America is really the only continent right now that gives a shit about this. This concept of liberty and freedom. It's something that I try to explain to people, and they just don't get it.
Well, because they've never had it. They don't have a point of reference. So how would they know?
Well, God bless the USA, and God bless our written Constitution, because it's the fact that we have a written Constitution that's in any sense giving any of us any security.
True.
Because, look at Canada, look at the UK, and look at what they do.
At least Canada's caring about it. Yeah, at least they're caring about it now.
At least Canada's doing something we should have done long ago. So God bless our Canadian brethren for reminding us.
We were going to do it. The truckers were going to do it here. The Biden administration was smart enough to say, never mind you guys, okay? We'll hold off on that one, because they're dumb, but they're not completely stupid. They didn't do the Trudeau.
Yeah.
So
they didn't go full blackface.
Oh, have you guys heard Let's Go Brando yet?
No. Brando?
Yeah, Let's Go Brando. That's the Canadian version. I just heard that recently. I thought it was pretty cool.
They're talking about Marlon Brando, right? Definitely Marlon.
Yes,
Marlon
with EAU, that one.
Yeah.
I wasn't following, and now I am. I'm so happy. I was like, I don't get the Brando thing, but okay, whatever, guys. Oh.
I guess I have to spell it. Sure.
Some of us are slow, okay?
All right, so what else do we have going on in the world? Case-wise.
I'm glad, Nate, you covered it too. I'm glad you covered I covered that too. I know, Nate, you covered that, right? I mean, how many complaints do you see? How many complaints do you see? I'm just saying, when I open this up and I saw it starts with a text and a quote from Martin Luther King before the body of the text. I'm like, how many complaints start like that? I mean, when they're saying, hey, this is the first day of Black History Month, and we're filing this in the spirit of Rosa Parks.
It reminds me of the Edgecombe
Flores
opening.
Is Rosa Parks of the NFL.
You got to be careful with that shit.
The Edgecombe opening that was stolen word for word from Johnny Cochran.
Yes.
Oh, that was great. Yeah, that was.
Cochran.
You know what that reminds me of?
It worked for Johnny
Cochran. Quotes for MLK, and
but he didn't deliver it like Cochran.
Of course not.
Oh no,
because you can't. They're not his words. They're not his words. And that's the thing that's kind of frustrating about that, is that obviously the legal profession, and we've talked about this before. The legal profession encourages plagiarism in a way, because we want the same arguments to be used, or not necessarily the same arguments, but you're supposed to copy case law word for word and use it in your argument. And so to a great extent, there's a lot of plagiarism that is not just allowed but encouraged. But when it comes to something like an expression that's really trying to make a full argument for your own case, it's one thing to take certain elements from someone else's work that worked really, really well and to rehash it and put it into your own words and put it into your own presentation. That is effective and probably a good idea, because that's taking someone's successful tools and using them for your own toolkit. But it's something completely different when you don't do the work to change it into your own words and your own voice, because then it just doesn't translate. It doesn't translate at all. And you can see that when you watch the side-by-side video.
Yeah. Obviously, about this case, the Flores case, I think is important, is that it's one of those big cases where you see all of news media, and the guy and nowhere in there does he have any evidence that he's discriminated against based on race. Like, I read all 58 pages. I'm like, there's no evidence here that says this was about race. It all kind of alludes to it, but there's nothing here about it.
It also is not going to be certified as a class.
Exactly. That's
not going to be certified as a class action, because it's so individualized. We were talking about that on Legal Mindset's channel. And it's, I mean, I don't understand. If you're going to go through this whole effort and have this lawsuit, like, why is he trying to turn this into a class action case when it's pretty clearly not going to work? I mean, if you talk to anyone that has ever been involved in class action litigation, they could look at that in 2 seconds and say, I mean, this is probably not going to work. So why go through that when you're going to fail at a certain point, in your ultimate goals, and just focus on the wins that you can have, tailor it to really achieve what it is that you want to achieve.
Well, I don't think this lawsuit was created.
This is the Flores.
This is the
Brian
NFL
Flores case. Brian Flores
versus
the
the
NFL
NFL, the Giants, the Dolphins.
Yeah. If you, I tweeted out the case.
I've got it.
The one thing though about this case is that, all right, so what he's doing is the same thing that I hate bringing it back to the women's national soccer team. They filed
their case on
Women's Day. He filed his case on the first day of Black History Month. They said a whole bunch of stuff they went on a media tour. As soon as they filed it, he goes on his media tours and filed it. They said discrimination, he screams discrimination. But when anybody just reads the cases, you're like, well, just like in their case, well, where is the pay difference? And in his case, it's like, where is the discrimination? It's the same tactic. And I know he's going to get a lot of support from the media. He's going to get a lot of support. Oh my God, it's so horrible. But if you look at his case, him particularly, the former coach of the Miami Dolphins, he had no head coaching experience. He was the linebackers coach for the Patriots, right? He wasn't even an NFL player. And he got the job. He and other people who were more qualified got passed over, and he got the job as a head coach of the Miami Dolphins for 3 years. And if he was white,
made it to the playoffs,
they would say it was discrimination. But to be fair, he did the play calling in the Super Bowl. That's how he got the Miami job. And then he fired.
Can Colin Kaepernick then, right? They could go out and
no. Eric, that's in the lawsuit.
He mentioned Kaepernick in the lawsuit.
Oh, he does.
That's a reason for his discrimination.
He's in the lawsuit.
For his discrimination.
2.0.
Oh, never mind.
I agree.
I'm psychic.
And not only that, but they cite all the woke statements, all the admissions of, we were so wrong, everything. The NFL was so racist. Them coming out and admitting it is used against them in a court of law.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
Like, you know that going and saying you're doing these things, saying you're horrible racists and we need to do better, that's going to come back to bite you in the ass at some point, and you see it in the Flores case.
Yeah. This seems like another lawyer trying to once again be Johnny Cochran. Because Johnny Cochran was one of the reasons why the Rooney Rule came into effect in the NFL.
What is the name of the case, by the way?
It's in the private chat. I dropped the link.
Okay.
And Flores versus NFL. You can pull it up, Eric. Just you know what? Just pull up the first page of the complaint. I want you guys to see the quotes. I've never seen this shit before. I've never seen it. I'm like, what are you doing? Straight off rip. We don't even get into the explanation of the facts, and you got King coming in here. It's like, what?
But that case wasn't written to win a court case. That case was written to win the public relations narrative. That's why. It's going to be out there for months before they respond. Yeah, that wasn't written for the
beautiful for the media. Beautiful for the media.
Oh yeah.
I'm already annoyed by the use of bold and italics and bold italics. I'm already annoyed.
Legal stickler.
Alita for purists.
I've been trained that you can use it, but use it judiciously. Don't
grammatically
every time. Look, when I was in law school, they were like, every time you use italics, imagine that someone is pounding on a table. Because that's the effect that it has.
Review.
So
that's what I
do.
So
don't do it too much.
I always pound the table.
Holy God, this is it. 58 pages.
Yes,
it's a history lesson of the NFL's discriminatory
racism.
Yeah, but it doesn't help him out. Like think about this. One of his key arguments is that the NFL is 70% black, but the coaches are just only 3% are coaches.
So did he say plantation?
They said it.
Did he say plantation?
He said plantation.
Yes, this is why I don't read. I just don't know it. I'll just know what it said.
But yeah, you should know it. Yeah. They're slaves. But his argument is that there should be more player coaches. And that he's been discriminated against, but he was never an NFL player. So he's literally arguing against himself, right? He's like, there should be more players that are coaches like me, but it's like, but you're black, but you were never a player, right? You wouldn't be.
I identify as a player.
That's it.
Yeah, it's so weird because if you just look at population wise, because eventually, for those of you who don't know, there's a famous Supreme Court case, Washington v. Davis, where they address disproportionate impact. And Washington v. Davis, what happens is the police department in Washington, D.C., the population of Washington, D.C. was black. I think it was like 80% black, but the police force was like 80% white. And the problem was test 21. There was a test that black participants kept failing, but white participants kept passing. So 2 black cops who failed the test went and said, well, hold on, we're going to sue based on this disproportionate impact. And the Supreme Court said, well, listen, yes, there is a disproportionate impact of this test, but you need more. You need to have some type of intent. You can't, even though we do have the fact that 90% of black people are failing this test, but was it designed?
So what you're saying is if the test was about, so what you're saying is essentially if the test was about country clubs in Brahmin areas, then they might have a case.
Well, yeah, it's essentially like that. You had to show some intent. You had to show some intent to deprive African Americans, and they actually changed the test after it, but there was no intent here. And so in this situation, he's showing all this desperate impact. But in some of the arguments that you'll see against it, one thing they'll say is that the population of the United States is only 13% African American. So if we use that argument, then only 13% of the NFL should be black, right? Or 13% of the NBA should be black, right?
Well, and what about Asian coaches? How many Asian coaches are there?
Exactly.
What is the Asian representation in the NFL?
Yeah. Well, and the other thing about disparate
is from the NFL's chess team.
And the other thing is that when it comes to disparate impact, there are
finance.
Just showing disparate impact doesn't necessarily prove that there is anything going wrong here, because there are so many possible reasons for that ultimate impact, right? That don't have anything to do with the defendant necessarily.
You mean correlation versus causation?
Right.
Essentially.
Are you a doctor? Oh, wait, no, this is not the right. Are you a statistician, Hunley?
No. And I don't believe in crypto.
Well,
no one should.
But in that case though, the most explosive stuff though is not even the discrimination stuff. It's the fact that he said he was offered $100,000 to lose games, and then another coach has said that he was also offered money to lose games to get a better draft pick. So if anything comes out of this, I think that's the thing that's going to blow up.
Now, if they can show fixing of games,
you could prove.
Yeah, that's huge.
Well, hold on, Nick. You left out the most important fact. That whole offer went down while he's on a yacht, and nefarious shit always goes down in yachts
like
in
a
Miami.
Bond villain.
That's where it always goes down. Exactly.
Mr. Bond, I'll pay you $100,000.
Or Ballers, right? Wasn't that a show on HBO?
Ballers,
yeah. I've wondered about that. A team that is just absolute garbage, if they don't just sandbag on the last games, why not? I mean,
I know Philadelphia did it because what they generally do, like what happened with Philadelphia, the 76ers, when they wanted the top draft pick, they put all their guys on IR, right? They're out for the season, even healthy guys. They're too injured to play and played a whole bunch of scrubs, lost all the games, and then got the high draft pick. So,
but you don't have to offer $100,000 for that.
Yeah.
No. I think that's criminal on the point.
Yes.
Offering money to tank games, that doesn't sound like that doesn't sound too legal to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some knucklehead will obviously be betting on it too.
Yep.
Yeah, my mind just went to Pete Rose.
To show you how bad this was, the coach won games and they kept him on for 2 more years. So even if he was paid to take, he didn't take. He won the games and they kept him on for 2 years, and he said it's discrimination. Like, this is the best discrimination on the planet. You F you to the boss and they keep you on for another 2 years for your millions of dollars.
Yeah, it would have been a different situation if they had retaliated against him for not taking that deal. If they were like, okay, well,
he claims they did by giving him like sassitude and being hard to work with, but I don't know.
Sassitude?
Yeah, something like that.
What is that?
It's a technical term.
Yeah, it's a thing.
I know. I literally have never heard that before. What the hell is sassitude?
You have a cat. That's like the embodiment of sassitude. It's like sassitude.
I have respect for my cats.
It's like sass and attitude.
It has no respect for you, though, Eric. That's what you got to realize at the end of the day.
Well, yes, I do know that if the cats were any bigger, they'd kill us.
Yes,
that's true. That's true. Mr. Bytes and I have talked about how, like, if we were to somehow die in our apartment, Indy would probably be like just crying over our bodies and like guarding us for however many days, and the cats would just be waiting.
Well, when you get soft enough to, they get hungry eventually.
Yeah,
something's gonna happen.
Well, that's a thing that happens a lot of times.
It does happen. Yes.
Cat owners die, and cats are like, "Oh, finally, idiots!" It's always late with the food. Not anymore.
Oh, well, that was a nice warm thought. Thanks. I'll name my next cat Chandler.
Yeah.
Do it. Oh no.
Speaking of that, I have tonight on my show Andrew Smith, the guy who gave Chandler Halderson the gun that Chandler would use to kill his parents. He is on my show tonight. So
wow, you're breaking news, man.
We will find out what his opinion is on if Chandler took a bite. That is for sure.
Oh my god. How the hell did you set that one up?
He reached out to me.
Oh my god!
he heard somehow that people on the show.
What I'm wondering is, considering his previous company, what is that saying about you and your show?
What really made me concerned was he's like, I mailed you a gift, and I'm like, oh god, I'll pray for my parents.
Was it an AR? Did he mail you an AR?
It's worse. He told me what it is. I'll save it for the stream.
Okay.
When it gets here.
It's
way worse than an AR.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Wow.
But yeah, he's great. He's been in my chat the past couple days, having a blast. So I think we're gonna have a great conversation tonight.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, that sounds insane. Never mind Kyle Rittenhouse. Screw that. No.
Is he still?
Speaking of which, I heard a rumor you were having him on.
I would love to. I have heard the same rumor, but it's not coming from me. So now their team mentioned that it was in the plan, but other than that, I haven't heard anything personally. So I would love to interview him. I think we'd have a good show, but it's up to him and apparently in his team. So you've got he's got a media personality to manage right now.
Mm-hmm.
You got to
get all that money because they damn sure gave him a lot of grief. So I can't hate on the kid for making some money.
It is one of the things. I mean, they did get $925,000 went to him from the bail money. So that was the agreed settlement, and it was confirmed to me that his legal expenses were otherwise compensated. So that $925 goes to him.
Good.
Nice.
Oh,
good for
So
him.
he has a good cushion.
Yeah.
Cost of living isn't that high where he is.
No.
$125,000
Well, and
is a lot of
especially if
money.
you get that into some good investments after the market has already crashed.
Yeah, there you go.
And let's not forget though. It's funny because it's like compensating him for the slander that's been going on at the news media, right?
Yeah.
How often that kid is always, people are always going to say that kid's racist. He's this, he's that. Just because they've been hearing it for years. So
I don't even think he could change his name.
Cross state lines.
Oh my God.
That's still going on.
I know
what about the rumor about Binger, Nick?
There's
what about
delicious?
The Binger may not be a Kenosha County DA anymore. He may have accepted a new position. One of the other interesting aspects of that rumor is right after the Rittenhouse case, he had only one scheduled appearance in front of Judge Schrader and 0 others. No bail hearings, no arraignments, nothing. So it's kind of like he was removed from the Schrader court. And then which is apparently the rumor around the Kenosha County courthouse that Schrader said, "You're out." And then very shortly after that, so the Zeminski trial has been pushed back because of the witness intimidation charges. And now
Nate was on my channel yesterday.
Yeah. Nate, God, he's great.
He's wonderful.
And now it seems like
try to have him on too.
Now it seems like he may not even be prosecuting Zeminski because he appears to be out. So we'll see.
Oof.
I mean,
I
can't confirm that yet.
What I heard was that he lost his very next trial after Rittenhouse as well, and the reason it sounds like was maybe at least partly because of the jury's
they didn't have faith
previous
in
knowledge about him.
Yeah, I heard that it was like a rape. I heard it was a bad case too, like a really bad guy, and they were like, "Yeah, we just can't trust anything this guy says."
Yep. When you reap what you sow, baby, reap what you sow. You act like that. You act unethical.
I mean, I don't feel bad for him.
You know the cameras are on, and you do it anyways. You do it because you don't give a fuck, and you're a person who's a complete unethical asshole. And frankly, that's the least he deserves. He's not going to be sanctioned. He's not going to be sanctioned by the court. He should be sanctioned by the bar. He's not going to get any of that. Now he's being sanctioned by the court of public opinion, and this is somebody I'm not going to shed one tear for.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be on CNN.
Would you trust him?
You know it.
Would any if I was on the joint, I saw Binger, I wouldn't trust anything he had.
No,
that
same with
he lied to us. Yeah, I was like, what? No, of course not.
No, you can conduct yourself with candor and integrity before the court. That's a rule.
It's a duty. A duty.
Yeah.
We have an obligation.
An ethical duty.
I seem to remember reading that once.
It's a duty.
And I'm not talking about the duties he dropped in court, as in him being full of shit. Not that. No.
I was wondering if they were casting a film, and that might be his new gig. Fluffing.
Oh God. Yes.
Him and Jack. You good people. Later. Jack. It's been 2 hours.
We'll be wrapping up here
with the rest of the show.
Thank you,
sir. See you, Nate.
Later, buddy.
Guys.
All right.
Yeah, actually, but I feel awful for Nate DeBruin because it's like he thought that he would at least be done with court at this point, and now he has to deal with more bullshit.
He is not done.
And it's just and the Zeminski's lawyer's argument about why Zeminski's bail shouldn't be raised to $14,000 was because Nate has a Give Send Go account that he's been.
Of course, they say that
he's been asking for financial support, which is but the thing about it is that they didn't even tie that to the witness intimidation. They never argued that. What did Andy say?
Legal mindset and toilet work
evaluation.
Nice.
It is glorious.
Nice.
We already pre-recorded this, but it is glorious.
That's awesome. No, but the argument from Zeminski's lawyer, it doesn't they don't try to say that either the intimidation didn't happen or that Nate somehow provoked him to try to garner sympathy for himself. All they say is, well, he has a Give Send Go over there and he asks for money, so therefore, Your Honor, my client shouldn't be sitting in jail.
Didn't Zeminski's own mother say he only said such and such and just substantiated everything about the intimidation?
I didn't hear that, but I saw the argument from the filing, and it's trash. It also looked like it was written in about 10 minutes because it's littered with typos. It refers to Judge Schroeder as Jude Schroeder, J-E-D-E. It misspelled.
I think
And then
that's a
and then
little
it even
slip.
it also, like, in the first paragraph, like it's clearly been copy pasted from another similar motion where the defendant was a female, because
from
it refers to Zeminski as her or she at one point, like
maybe
early on.
Maybe Zeminski does identify that way. What do you know? You don't know
Who knows?
her life.
Well, he does have a career and appearances online on other channels, from what I hear. Yeah.
Well,
some hubs involved. All right, got it.
Yes.
Got it.
some Jack Murphy situations, maybe.
Yes. some baiting of the chat, if you will.
Oh boy.
Waffle House verdict, is that in?
Is it?
It might be. Jury deliberations have started, I believe. Closing arguments finished, but I haven't been watching today. That's kind of a fascinating case, if only because it shows how prosecutors can make a really obviously interesting situation boring.
The one thing that I heard about that case was
guilty.
Yeah, well, no
Oh,
surprise
he's guilty?
there.
Oh, no,
wow.
never mind. No, that's another case.
Oh.
There's bad things at Waffle Houses.
Yeah,
shocker.
the one thing that I remembered hearing coming out of that trial was one of the witnesses saying that she looked and saw. Oh, and Nick, you mentioned this.
Yeah. So good.
Well, she did her little pause before that, I noticed too. And I saw his pathetic little
Wow. I mean, if you are required to, to say what you saw under penalty of perjury, and they want the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you got to give the truth, right?
She was trying to be forthcoming and accurate.
If you have a chance to roast a mass murderer right there in court, you take it. You take it by that puny scrotum and you swing around.
Oh my Lord.
Woo.
All right. Well, what does everybody have coming up? Starting Kurt, what do you have coming?
Oh yeah, I've got some good stuff coming. I'm going to be doing the Ninth Circuit case with the judge with the ruling against himself in a two-parter, because it's just hilarious watching that thing go. And I got some other Supreme Court reacts upcoming. We're going to do the one with the FBI and whether or not you can get access to the secret information against you in some sense in a court of law. So good stuff coming up on my channel.
Alita.
Nice. I don't actually have any specific plans just yet, but I mean, I always have my Thursday noon Eastern time, latest in the law, where I pick at 3 or 4 different legal topics from the previous week or the last few days, and we talk about it. We just did yesterday a beautiful dramatic reading of the cross-examination of Stormy Daniels, and I must say, Uncivil Law is a precious Stormy Daniels.
He's a real thespian there.
Have you tried out the Face Swap app? I feel like doing the female Kurt and then superimposing that.
Check out Kyle Dunnigan. Kyle Dunnigan's Alec Baldwin is so funny. Oh my God, he's amazing. Andrew, what do you have coming up?
Well, I'm going to stay tuned on the Flores thing. I thought that was so ridiculous, and I covered that right away because it was absolutely preposterous. But I'm going to stay tuned on that. I did a great one with Joe the other day. We gotta make an illogical mindset happen, like on a regular, because we just got to know a whole lot of agendas. The Whoopi Goldberg SCOTUS agenda. Answering the court's Jewish question. I mean, a whole sorts of good stuff. You guys should go check that episode out. It is really amazing, fantastic. But of course, like Alita, I keep my options open, and I'm always looking for the next best legal thing. And where you can find that is on my channel, Legal Mindset, or legalmindset.locals.com.
All right, look at this. What? Oh, okay. It's your brother. I was confused by this. Nick, besides people supplying killers, what do you have going up?
Let's see. Well, tonight, this afternoon, I'm on Friday Night Tights
nice.
with that crew, so that'll be fun. Tomorrow I'll be on Flashcast, and next week I think the plan is to start the trial of the Florida movie theater shooter, Reeves. What is his first name?
I believe it's Reeves. I have to check. I think
Curtis.
that's
Curtis Reeves. Yeah. He's a man. Popcorn was thrown at him, and
my ex worked on that case.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Cool. Wait, what side of it?
State side.
So great. So you're for the defense then. That's good.
Oh yeah.
It's the guy he got into an argument at a movie theater. The guy in front of him threw popcorn at him, and he, of course, as is justified, if someone throws popcorn at you, he pulled out his gun and iced him right there on the spot. And so now he's claiming self-defense under a cool Florida legal theory that is unique to Florida, because everything is unique to Florida. So I think I will probably be covering that case live, and I believe Mr. Branca at least will be joining me for all of it, and everyone, of course, would be welcome to pop into that coverage as well. Should be a fun case. So
fantastic.
All right.
Good one.
I have tonight, or at 5:30 today, America's Untold Stories. We're going to do a Q&A, which we promised to do forever. Catch up on the little pieces of Alec Baldwin, whatever's going on, and
there's always
just
something
hang
going
out.
on.
I just did an interview with the author of No Domain about John McAfee. I've interviewed John McAfee, so it was really cool to kind of get a vibe and compare notes about him. Anyone who's interested in McAfee, that's just on EricHunley.
Interesting.
And of course, I'll be back here next week with news in the middle of the week. And if you guys like this, you like these panels, please subscribe. Until next time.
Bye tea for me.